That's the way it works. Okay, we're starting. Okay, we're in if you have the sheet, it's the what in starting from the beginning of the article, it's the last paragraph of the fourth column. It starts V'zeh Yisod Avodah Tefilla. We did it. I just want to repeat this before I go further. It's Amud Pei Dalet, and in brackets it says 720 on its right side over there on the top. That's where I'm up to. So let's see. We're talking about what we're supposed to be doing in davening and what it's about. The discussion was we've brought up so far is that the purpose of specifically Psukkah de Zimra leading into Krias, Shema, etc., is to create Avos Hashem. And we're supposed to be davening with a certain. I don't know about you. I mean, I'll be very blunt. The Balatanya writes, a person going to work, a typical shachris in a weekday should take 90 minutes. He says he doesn't see how you could possibly do it with less. I'm telling you it the way it is. Man, no, you make your cheshbon. I told you already what to do. You wake up earlier, you get the shul to make minyan with Shmoneh Esrei. But it doesn't mean you didn't take an hour to get there. Anyway, so this she says, I'm going to read this paragraph. This is the fundamental basis of our service of God through prayer. She avodah shebelev. This is the service of the emotions of the heart. Avodah hu lashon tikun. What does avodah mean? It means to fix things, to erect things, to put things in place. L'taken, l'saken olam b'malchut shakai. God fixes up the world. It should be a malchus for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What are you supposed to be metaken? So he says, what's the avodah? L'taken talev. You're supposed to fix yourself, your emotional personality. Your davening is supposed to make you feel differently. V'lasotah klei rikan. You have to be able to make yourself an empty vessel, devoid of everything, to focus on what you're doing and to realize you're just waiting for God to give what He wants to give. But you have to first walk away from self-serving feelings. Behind Kilevada Asogavas Biden is outside of the fact that we must contemplate of what we're saying and thinking and internally thinking of what we're saying. There's another thing in Tefillah. Yisodei Tefillah, from the foundations of Tefillah is Hakora B'Shitlas Atzmai. You have to realize how far you are from perfection. Now, where's the source of this idea? I'm going to show you. It's a Gemara. It's a Mishnah, actually. Mishnah says in Brachos, in the beginning of Perik Ein Omdim, that's page 30b, Mishnah says, Ein Omdim Litpalel, you don't stand to daven, you don't go up to daven, Elu mitoch Koved Rosh, you first have to be somewhat heavy-headed. What does Koved Rosh mean? So Rashi writes, Hachna'ah. You basically feel very, you're subjugated, you're humble, you're bent. You're not walking around proud of yourself. You're lacking. You feel humble. Hachna'ah. That's what it means. You must daven with the sense of hachna'ah. This is. I'm hoping this will happen one day. Now, where's the source of this? I'm going to show the source of this is the Gemara. The Gemara brings the psukim, and thus we'll understand what is the idea of hachna'ah. So the Gemara says, for whence do we know this halacha? That davening has to be mitoch hachna'ah, from a sense of bending down, of subjugation, of the idea that you don't feel haughty, that you feel dependent. Amar Rabbi Lazar says, Tam Lazar in the Gemara is Rabbi Lazar ben Pedos, by the way. The Omar Kra, the Pasuk says, we're talking about Hannah, the mother of Shmuel. When she prayed in the Mishkan, she was barren and she wanted a child. So it says she prayed, Vihi Marat Nefesh. She was bitter. She hurt. She davened in pain. Vihi Marat Nefesh. So we see here that Hachna'ah means Marat Nefesh, means you're really missing things. It's not up to you. You feel totally hanging in your dependency on God. That's Hachna'ah. I have nothing I don't have anything. It's up to you. So he Marat Nefesh. Well, the Gemara brings another pasuk. Pasuk says in Tehillim in Perek Hey, V'ani berov chashtecha me, I berov chashtecha, with your great grace and mercy, avo veisecha, I will come to your house, I will come to your shul, I will come to your mikdash. Eshtachaveh elichal kodshecha, I will prostrate myself to your heichal, to your great holy hall, which is the Beis Hamikdash. For us, it means today towards the Aron Kodesh. Yirah second, I will do this ishtachvoya with a sense of awe of you. So far, Hachna'ah means Marat Nefesh, and Hachna'ah also means Yirah. Yirah means to say, not you just fear, you're not afraid that the sky's going to fall on you. You feel, you stand in awe in front of greatness, which diminishes your sense of independence and ego. So again, Koved Rosh means something which creates Yirah, a sense of awe. I always say 100 times, I remember, the first time I went to see Reb Moshe Feinstein, Zecher Tzaddik Livracha. I mean, he was a small man, he was barely 5 feet, believe me. Nachvinzike, a kleine Menschele. But I just looked at this beautiful person with these rosy cheeks, and I think, God, this little person has like hundreds and hundreds of times of Shas under his belt, and hundreds of times of Shulchan Aruch under his belt. How does this little body know so much? And I felt so small. All of a sudden, I felt all the projected images which I had about myself, they were like puny compared to this guy that, he can rattle it off without thinking twice, anything, anywhere, with no questions asked. Did you feel that you wanted to hug the person? Yes. Were you afraid of the person? Are you kidding? You were drawn to him. Did you feel so small? Yeah, but it was a nice feeling of small. It was a feeling of truth. Like, okay, now I know what it looks like. Okay, now I know where I am. I'm an ant, brother, but I've seen, a giant, and I know what giants look like. It's pretty good. At least I realize what it is. So that's a beautiful sense of humility. It's not something which makes you feel terrible. So Yirah does not mean scared. Yirah means you're in awe because you've encountered a great truth. So this again, Davening demands moras nefesh, total dependency. Yirah, which means hishtachvoya, you prostrate yourself in front of God because you're in sense of awe. You have no standing. You lose the independent sense of stature. That's the second source. The third source of the Mishnah is, it says, Amar Reb Shua ben Levi, it says, Hishtachvu la Hashem ba'adrat kodesh. You say that. Bow down to God with great majesty. Al tikar ba'adrat ela b'cherdat. We have that multiple times in Gemara, where they do drushes, they take words with letters which are interchangeable, like Al tikar bonayich ela bonayich, Al tikar Hadrat el Cherdat. They switch the hey to the chet. And so we have this many places, and there's a beautiful Rambam on it, but this is not the place. The idea of charada. What's charada mean? What is charad? There's a common word to charedi, which is nothing more than a sociological phenomenon, and no clear definition of the term, because I know charedim, which are saints, and I know charedim, which are blue. They play the casino. So I'm not sure what the word Haredi means, just like I don't know what the word modern Orthodox means. I know the Rav Bar Lichtenstein was a tzaddik gomer, my mom is like a tzaddik gomer, a gorna chassid, and I know people that call them the modern Orthodox, which you'd have to look for a microscope with their yarmulke and somehow towards the back of their head. We have political figures like that in Israel. What's the common denominator between them? Not sure I know, except for a sociological umbrella. So, but what does it really mean, Haredi? So it's a pasuk. Hayitaka shofar ba'ir va'am lo yecharadu. So Rashi explains there, what does charada mean? You become, you like stop thinking of anything. You're you're frozen. You're totally frozen. It's like a sense of terror. You're frozen. Oh, you're frozen. So that's the idea of Haredi. Haredi is a person supposed to be someone he has an intense sense of God awareness that it freezes him from walking away. He can't not focus. You become like a moth towards the light. It's like the Pied Piper of Hamlet. So this is what's happening here. So this is the idea of Hishtachvoya must be with Charada. Rashi used the Lashon Pinui Halev. it means all other emotions cease to exist. There's only one thing, focused on the greatness of God. So that's the way you're supposed to be davening. Now there's another source. The other source is Ivdus Hashem b'Yirah. You must serve God with awe. Vigilu, and you sing, right? We sing L'Chadaidi and all the other nice things, what we do at Kel Adon, a nice young Israel shul. We sing away. It's supposed to be Vigilu Bir Ada, but when you sing, you're supposed to tremble. That people forget, okay? Don't be so Hamish, as one would say. You didn't play marbles with God, okay? You're standing in front of Melech Malchei Amlachim. You're very happy that you're standing in front of him, but you're shaking. Now, this is how Rashi, the different reasons of the Gemara, how the Gemara explains this. And the idea, this is all found in, according to Rashi, what encapsulates all this is called Hachna'ah. Because where did Rashi get the idea of Hachna'ah when the Gemara said Charada, Yirah, Re'ada? And the answer is, obviously, he understands that the shiftless of Hachna'ah is that what generates or encapsulates within it all these feelings. The person which is shofel v'nichna, he lives with a sense of Yirah, Charada, and so on and so forth. Otherwise, this Rashi is very, 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 very problematic. The Rambam, when he describes this halacha of Koved Rosh, when we talk about Koved, this is not different Haggadah, this is a din. It's a Mishnah. This is, if you don't do this, don't daven, for goodness sakes. The Rambam paskins this halacha in Perik Dalet, I think it is. Let me see for a minute if I have it here. Let's see. Where's the test? Yeah, right. Perik Dalet Hilchos Tefilla halacha Tezayin. Well, how does he describe Koved Rosh? So he says, I got the wrong name here, Peri Dalet, Rosh, Halacha Tezayin. He describes it the different word. He doesn't use the word shiflut, but he takes all these ideas of Yirah, Charada, etc., and puts it in another description. Yifaneh libo mikol hamachshava, which is Charada. Where does he get this idea from? The answer is because it says Charada b'hachardat kodesh. That's where he gets it from. Once you know how to read the Gemara well, you realize the Rambam is not making things up. Every piece is a Gemara. Okay, but then he said, "V'yireh atzmo," one must see himself ki'ilu hu omed lifnei hashchina, as if he's physically standing in front of the divine presence. Well, obviously that generates shiflut, hachna'ah, charada. Yeah, God Almighty, standing in front of that. Hey, honestly, standing in front of Rav Hutner was, whoa. You made sure that you were focused. You know what I mean? So you're standing in front of Melech Malchei Amlachim. Your eyes don't wander, and you don't schmooze with the chevra. And you're not interested, you know what I mean? Your eyes don't wander to the other side of the shul. You don't care. You barely can stand on your own. That's how you're supposed to daven. Therefore, the din is sarich leishev ma'at kodim atfilah. When you come into shul, you don't just jump up and say matayva and roll. You sit down and think from it, relax, and go into contemplation. Kidei lechavenet libo, in order. So before you start davening, kind of come 10 minutes earlier and start thinking, like, what am I going to do here? And how do I prepare myself emotionally and mentally before I go davening? I repeat again, some people do it at home and just come in for Shemoneh Esrei, but they're well revved up by then. Guys, you understand you have to wake up an hour and a half before the minyan in shul. Because the minyan in shul takes roughly 12 minutes from Baruch She'omar until Shemoneh Esrei. We know. Okay, they think the Psukkah Zimmer is Tfilas Haderech. Okay, so Fichach Tzarech le'ashev ma'at kodem atfilah k'dei lechaven libo v'achar kach yitpalel. Only after you've done this preparation of thinking, of a focused thinking, then, but not, you pray benachas. You have to pray in a relaxed way, which means you have to ubetachnunim, and it has to be a way of davening which is beseeching, which obviously doesn't fit with writing God emojis in your mind, you know what I mean, or telegraphs, or I don't know what. Somebody, once I was standing next to somebody, and he was sobbing. I needed Ventolin to be able to get up to the guy. Was I said, "Do you talk to your wife that way?" So it's like, are you kidding? Well, then what do you mean God's not senile? I mean, why are you talking to him that way? I'm trying to say this is something, I can repeat and repeat. It has to be said because it has to go somewhere. We have to understand how we have to do davening. ולא יעשה תפילתו כמישהו נושא מסויה משליחו. You don't daven because, oh, this is a heavy load, got to do it, got to check up the eggs. Okay, let me get done with and throw it away. No, you can't daven that way. Don't daven. Do me a favor, don't go to shul. Okay? ולפיכך צריך לשב מטה אחר התפילה, אדרבה. Those people that by Olenu, they're at the door already. They're shalenkin din. This is Matan Shulchan Aruch. I hate to say it. You're supposed to wait. You're supposed to sit down after davening, and think about what you just did. Not because there's a shiur of the rabbi for 5 minutes in Mishnah Brewer, and you have to say Kaddish Rabbana. No, after that, think of what you did. Only then you walk away from shul. This is the halacha. Okay, this is mamish. This is not midas chassid. This is divrei agad. That's a thing. Does anybody do it? Well, I guess we have to start doing it. Okay, because this is what are we gonna do? This is the way. If people ask me why doesn't Tefilla help, because you don't daven. Know what you're doing? You're not davening. Okay, so this is what he writes over here in this Mimer we're reading now. So what's the takin alei? But it says shiftless atzma. I'm going back to what we read in the primary segment. One of the foundations of tefillah is recognizing you're shiftless, how small you are compared to the great truth. That's how you're supposed to start. You're supposed to saying you're totally dependent and you really have very little to come to the table with. You have to beg. Okay? But that's why you start in the morning. As soon as you wake up and say, thank you. I'm thank you that I'm alive. Okay? As we discussed last time, first of all, you said the word ani. Start thinking, who do I mean when I say me? Do I mean me, the projected image? The me that I really feel is me. Okay, so you have to do a lot of introspection to figure out when you say I, who do you mean? Who do you mean? It's so funny because we're so tied up. Me, the doctor. Me, the lawyer. Me, the physics major. Me, no. Who's the me? The little boy there that's still there. The kleine Ingela, that he doesn't have all the degrees and all that. Well, what are you for real? Okay, tachlis. What are you going to stand up if they yom adin? Going and dancing and kerastir and all these other things is not going to get it. What matas adin when the great judgment comes in? Oh, they're going to ask you, well, who are you? And I have a PhD, and what else? Okay, now I know how you made your living. Now what else? Mr. Garnish, Nelama, you made a good living. Thank God. At least you provided for your wife and your children. Where are you? So he says, I once told you a story about this. I stand, and he didn't even say wash negelvasser yet. You look, open your eyes and say, I, in a very profound way, me, the way my real me feels that I am now in the presence of God and I am talking to him directly. Modeh ani lifanecha. You're in front of me, not third person. Lefanav lefanecha. Brother dear, is that what you feel when you wake up in the morning? This is how it starts. That's the Hachna'ah l'tefillah. Okay, this is a big. I remember I was taught this when I was all of 11, 12 years old, and it's years of hard labor to say Mardani like a mensch. I give you a big yesod. If you say Krias malamita like a mensch, you go to sleep like a mensch, then you'll say Mardani like a mensch. It's a big club. It's in bed is how you put yourself in bed. That's how you're going to wake up. That's the bookends of your day, brother. How do you begin it and how you end it? The rest will work well if you do those two things right. So I'm giving you an eitzah taiva. Find with the siddur, Krias Mita. There's a shtickle vidui over there. I suggest you start saying it. And there's not just Krishma with a mapel. Most people don't even say a mapel. I don't want to say what they do. Okay. When's the last time you said a Krias Mita with a siddur? Okay, I'm telling you, it makes a whole difference for your whole day. People don't hop. That will do everything. That will change everything. That plus the Maidani, you're covered. And that's what he writes. The first thing, this foundation was saying Maidani like a mensch. What's it for? וכדי להגיע לזה, מתחילה באמת בעבודת התפילה, עוד בהכנות לפני התפילה. In order to get this, you have to prepare before davening. V'lechen gazru omer, and that's why they said in the Mishnah, Ein omdim litpalel. We don't just stand and daven immediately. Ela mitoich Koved Rosh, as we just learned a minute ago. We're a bit heavy-headed. Hachna'ah, quoting Rashi, Hachna'ah v'shiflut. Okay? Hainu, what does it mean? Shenakir shiflutenu. It means you actually have to think for a moment, how small are you? I suggest look at the great cosmos. All you have to do is learn your astronomy. And look how big is the great globe. It's a speck of dust. And how big, how much, and what percentage of the globe are there human beings? A speck of dust. And how many of them live with a God awareness? I hate to say it, en promille, there's nothing there. Okay, that's all you are. Compared to the great creator, no, he created everything, the whole freaking cosmos. Just think of the Milky Way and think of your little globe. It's a joke. No, everything is for me. Yeah. You sound like the mouse that roared. It's like so funny. Don't you understand? Yeah, you and the cheetah. I don't know. I think the cheetah is brighter than you. Okay, at least he knows his limitations. Okay, so I mean, you get shiftless. Just like buy yourself a telescope and start reading astronomy. You how small you are. Just do it. I told you these yeshivas don't hop. If they would teach more science, the guys would have more anova. Mark, you're in the hospital. You can see it. You can see how small the body is. Yeah, Moshe Gross. Boom. Phil, how many people do you have that thought they were at the peak of health, and all of a sudden, beep, some electric current went, and bingo, sayonara. This is a Klingel. You're an ant. You can have a million Rosh Hashanahs before your name, a Motzei Dola Torah, whatever you want, with PhD, M with LLB, and you name it. Yeah. Chilase offer, v'seifa offer. You are potential worm fodder. That's all you are. Now make it meaningful. So that's what he says. First, we'll talk about your animal inclinations. If you really be honest about your animal inclinations, there ain't too many things to be proud about. My mind is discussed at length, based on Aristotle, that the most lowly part of the human psyche is the idea of experiential self, feeling. Man needs to feel good. He has to have experiential self, sensual self, sensuousness. We're very sensuous animals. That's why we want to be cuddled, right? That's why that's why my grandchild will fall into my lap. He wants to feel cuddled. He wants to go back to his room. He wants to feel secure. The sensuous self is that the lowest part of the human being. My mind describes this at length. It's a necessity. That's how God programmed us, but that's the part which is not very intelligent, because you and the animal are the same thing. That's who you are. Basically, you're much more sensuous than you are intellectual. Most of us do not live intellectual lives. As we've discussed this multiple times, okay? We are very sensuous, and we look for sensuous experiences. Myriv, inspiring Kabbalah Shabbos. Everything we want is to be hot and inspiring and sensuous. Even our religion is nothing more than we look for it to be sensuous. I can see that as a means towards an end, but it isn't that way. It's become totally the goal. That's why they're flat-headed. It's really bad. That's why Rabbi Amital Zecher Tzaddik V'Rocha did not allow to have a Karlabach Kabbalat Shabbat in the Gush. Because he felt people are doing that, looking at religion as something that makes you feel good, and therefore you're connected to it, and they lost a sense of authority and obligation. You must do it because it's the truth, because it's the will of God, not because it makes you feel good. I heard this from him myself. He said that's why he doesn't allow Karabach Kabbalat Shabbat in the Gush. I don't know what's happening now. I know, but that's the way it was back in the old days. Reb Aaron couldn't care less. That wasn't his thing. Dancing, it wasn't his. It's almost funny to think about. But Reb Amital was a very, very warm person. And I mean, really, he was bubbly. I mean, warm. Reb Aaron was warm, but bubbly. But no, he wouldn't allow that because he felt this is taking Judaism away from truth and making it nothing more than something that makes you feel good, and that's dangerous. He was right. Okay, so first of all, mitzad nefesh habahamis, which is used to hakara, kol echad v'echad b'midos of arayim b'frat. What about not just talking about the essence of sensuous animal instincts of every human being, which is quite small and puny? Now you can talk personally about your own midos rows. How much of you is really a good person? You're about to die. You stand in front of God. You give him a shopping list. It reminds me of a story, a drasha I once heard from Rav Ovadia Yosef, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, in Beit Knesset HaRamban in Katamon. I remember when he was he wasn't the chief rabbi, he was a dayan, and he said a drasha. I used to live in the old Katamon, and like living in the Haredi society. I wanted to be able to take the garbage down without putting my hat and jacket. I wanted to ride my bike, so and walk around with my Bermudas. So I lived in Katamon by normal people. Anyway, so I remember going to shul, and this is before Slichas. He says, "Can you imagine?" He says, "A guy's going to come. Guy goes to, let's say, to Saks, Fifth Avenue." And he walks to the counter, and he's got like 4 suits. Each of them is like $22,000, you understand? And who knows how many shirts. And I'm not talking about the Ferragamo ties. And I'm not talking about the Bali shoes. And he has a whole shtickle over there, which Baruch Hashem, it costs. He goes up to the counter, they make a cheshbon, and they say, well, the sum is so and so and so much. So he takes out a crumbled $5 bill and says, listen, can you give me credit? So he says, that's what we do in Avinu Malkeinu. You go to God, give me this, give me this, give me that, give me that. And then you say the last one, I want credit. Choneinu v'aneinu. I can't pay for this. Give me credit. Ki en banu ma'asim. Asei manut staka. Go to Saks and do that and see what happens to you. Okay, yet you do it. I remember, I'll never forget this. He hit me like a punch in the face. You're asking God for everything under the sun and his cousin, okay? And then you say, listen, I actually can't pay for this. I need credit. And I'm not sure I'm going to pay it. Try doing it in Saks. Okay. You may get away, in some place in the east side, but there ain't no way you're going to get it, or Rodeo Road, you understand, Alan? Try buying a suit in Rodeo Road, and after going there, saying on credit. You do it, Lavinu Malkeinu, don't you, Chap? This is like crazy. So he said, that's what he says. Look at who you are. You're about to stand in front of God. You want to ask Chachma, Geula, Parnasa. You want good weather. You have 19 requests. What the for you? How do you dare ask? Who do you think you are? Are you crazy? You wouldn't do this in Saks. You wouldn't do this in Nordstrom's. Maybe in Nordstrom's outlet. You know what I mean? But God is not Nordstrom's outlet. No. I'm sorry. No. This is the real McCoy, okay? Nordstrom Schwach. Sack. That. Neiman Marcus. Some, what I mean? It's not like Cedarhurst, where today there you can ask for credit, you know what I mean? Like, you remember Central Avenue the way it was 50 years ago. That's what I'm talking about. Try doing credit there. Okay, so that's what he says. So he says, let's just realize we live so far from the enlightenment of truth. We live a freaking pack of lies. All day we are blind. We don't think about the truth. We don't care about the truth. We enjoy the bliss of ignorance and darkness. That's the honest truth. In order, it makes it so much easier to engage in sensuous activities when there's no light shining on you. And I don't have to explain it's the truth. Sensuous activities demand no enlightenment. If you put a flashlight on the person, he's going to stop. Okay? So the question, because you walk in the darkness, that's why you're engulfed in sensuous activity. That you feel that, and this is where it gets hurts the most. Every person feels, well, I've done something. After you look carefully at how far you are, you suddenly realize all your great accomplishments. They're not really much. And he says, listen, we do, I did something. That pessimism is also not true. You've blown up your achievements much more than what you really are compared to the big picture and where you could be. Okay? We actually lack everything. This is the feeling you're supposed to have. That is the Kavana. I don't know if you have. When you say in Shemona Esrei, you start Shemona Esrei, you say Hashem, Sfatai Tiftach, Ufi Agiti Latecha. What is your Kavana? I'm going to teach her now. God, I'm not capable of opening my mouth. Not just because I'm in awe of you, because I realize I'm not bringing anything to the table. There's actually no reason you should even want to hear me. But you're crazy. You're madly in love with us, and you want us to talk. Don't ask me. Makes no sense. Okay? You want, but I'm afraid I can't talk. I'm ashamed. If you can possibly open my mouth for me, give me a sense of assurance that Yingale, you sing out of tune, but I will not turn my back and walk out on you. That happens to be, if you know what I mean. Okay. What would you do for saying out of tune? Yeah, so this is what's happening here. I say, God, I sing out of tune. There ain't no way. But you know what? Can you please give me the assurance that you're helping me open my mouth? If you help me, then I'll talk. That's what you're saying. You literally have to acknowledge that you're not capable of opening your mouth. I still remember as a young boy of 17 years old, it was one Rosh Hashanah, that's the only part of the Shemona Esrei that I focused on. The rest I said by rote. But I sat I would sit there for 40 minutes thinking about that. Even sat down when they were all standing. Think about that. Believe me. Then you say the rest. It's a different ballpark, you understand? So this is before Shemona. It's not called Shemona Esrei yet. It's before Shemona Esrei. Hashem Sfatai Tiftach Ufi Agiti Latecha. That's the feeling you're supposed to. And that's called Koved Rosh. That's the Charada of the Gemara. That's Kilo Oimilifnei Ashchina of the Rambam. That's the Yirah of the Gemara. That's the Hachna'ah and the Shiftless of Rashi. And this is what we mean here. This is what it all is encapsulated in that one small little thing that we mumble very fast. Okay, but that is a very heavy piece of sentence there. Now, if you know, this is what we're supposed to do. Vinay, ayedei but just having that feeling that you can't open your mouth because really there's no one to talk at the moment. Af kilo palnu adayin legaresh kol tavot milibenu. I haven't driven away all my obsessive desires. I haven't. I still have these obsessive desires for gashmias, for good time, for sensuous activities, etc. But if you honestly sat down and realized how far I am from anything really good and meaningful, and that's quite easy to get to. Let's be honest. You just look in the mirror, start looking at what your day looks like. You realize I'm a Michael. There's not much to talk about. So let's be honest. Now, you have to be very careful not to go into a depression because of that. Okay, yeah, because at the end you say, but God loves me, and that's what I am, and He doesn't really want more from me. But don't feel smug about it. What you have to do is bust your own projected image, your own bubble. and be comfortable with your lowly truth. That's what you have to be able to do. I repeat, we're not talking about something which is the Rebbe writes in Tanya that atzvus is an aveira, merirus, but being bitter about not getting what I could be, that's good. He says, what is the difference between atzvus and merirus? Atzvus is depression. It stops you from doing anything. That's an aveira. That's atzas hayetzer. One should not engage in anything which could create any sense of destruction to the extent of creating depression. Cholila v'chas. Well, I want to make it very clear because here I am hacking away. I'm smiling, okay, but really because we're not talking about atzvus. Chol lila v'chas is the worst thing. It's debilitating. Any feeling which is debilitating doesn't allow you to continue doing avodas Hashem comes straight from the Satan Malach Hamav. It's nothing to do with God. That's not avodas Hashem. So any person that thinks he's going to learn Musar and he's going to feel, I'm terrible, and and all that debilitating these. Certain types of Musar people, ich bin a garnished, and he's so happy about it. No, that's the Malach HaMavis. No, you should feel merirus. You should feel, how can I'm living, look, I am what I am, but I somehow project myself so much more than what I am. No one's telling you to destroy yourself, but you have to be able to look at yourself what you are, and you are what you are. It's okay. God loves you for, would you believe me? He loves you for what you are. He loves the human beings. What are they? They're a speck of dust. Okay? There's an old song, used to be Dust in the Wind. Okay? By Kansas, I remember. Okay? They dust in the wind. You know what I mean? You think and it's over. I remember there were really good lyrics in that one. Okay? Ayin Sham, V'tim Tsunachas. Okay, sometimes the old lyrics from my days that they carried stuff. So this is it. Yeah, but dust is all God made dust. Hey, I guess God likes dust. You know what I mean? But remember, you're dust. Don't walk around. Okay, now God, I'm a good man. I've done this. Ilamata Torah harbe al tachzik taiva la'atzmacha. Kilakach natzarta. Don't give me. What do you want? It's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. Relax. Okay, so this is what he says. That's easy to get to. To drive away the taivas is a hard call. We discussed this last time. But first, before you drive away the taivas, be honest about who the ani is when you say moida ani. Once that can be done, and it really, in the beginning it's not comfortable, but after once, twice, three times, four times, I would say after 2 weeks of being honest with yourself and remembering, make sure your wife hugs you afterwards, that you shouldn't go into depression. Okay, you know what I mean? And also look at, hey, you have done the will of God. Okay, that's important. Okay, but it's not exactly who knows. But you've done the will of God. You're trying your best to do the will of God. That's a plus. Make sure you don't destroy your sense of life. You just have to bust the artificial sense of life. It means looking for meaning and purpose for real. Okay, that's not an easy thing to do. Much easier, and you guys that have a medical profession, because at least you're saving people the whole freaking time. That's easy. Hardest thing is when you're like me in my profession. You're always afraid you're destroying people's life. You don't know what you're doing. Okay, but this is something. This is easy to do. He says. If you do that, you've emptied out your heart. There's nothing left. So what's left is, I'm an Eved, I'm nichna in front of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Then you're a Kli for dialogue. How many times have I said the story with the two of glue, right? You want to surface the thing, first clean the surfaces, scrub them. Yeah, clean your surface. And then connect to God. Okay, it's like, you have to tell these teenagers they're dating. What do they do? It's a joke what they're doing. Okay, she's projecting an image, he's projecting an image. At the wedding, there are two projected images merging with each other. Therefore, the only one telling the truth is the photographer, because he's doing nothing more than putting pictures of projected images. In truth, you don't know her, she doesn't know you. You're an idiot, she's a jerk, and you're going to divorce. Okay. No hap. You have to know who you are. And you have to know who she is. And you have to be able to connect as people. Okay, let's go further. So he said this is easy to do. But then as a shemagish, as es feltem epis hecher. You feel you're missing something more important. There's something higher than all this stupid life I'm living, and I'm missing that. That's called nesura. You see what happens at that stage when you feel that you are low and what you're really missing is so much more than just stupid things. So your tefillah is a tefillah based surah, that you just transform your tefillah into a tefillah d'oraisa. Normally, tefillah, according to most Rishonim, except for Rambam, the only tefillah which is d'oraisa is a tefillah based surah. But if you daven the way you should be davening, hell, brother dear, every tefillah is a tefillah based surah. Help me be a meaningful person. Okay, that's a tefillah based. That's a tefillah d'oraisa. You just transformed into something which. That's why there's a letter of the Balatanya. I'm going to quote it to you. Okay. There's a letter of the Balatanya that he writes. I'm quoting the lashon of the Rebbe of the Balatanya. Kol ha'omer tefillah midrabanan. Whoever said that today's davening is midrabanan, lo ra'uma wrote mehem. They never saw the lights. Why? Ki afshe nusach tefillah. The liturgy of the tefillah is midrabanan. Ubinyana and its structure is drabanan, and 3 times a day drabanan. Ikar inyana, but the essence of davening, which is Yesod, Kol Torah Kula, etc. What is it? That is a deraisa, because it's through there creating shiflus and therefore creating Avos Hashem, etc. This is what this is all about. I'm going to stop now. If you have to excuse me, I have to make this short today. I think we've done enough in this topic. We'll move to another topic. I'm hoping that somehow we have to wish, to will, to want, to aspire to epis daven once a week like a mensch. One tefillah, can't even ask all of it. Epis once a week. I have a great idea. Wake up 6 in the morning on Shabbos, do a real shachris, and then come to shul for the Shemona Esrei of the 10 o'clock minyan. Don't go there before. You go into the marketplace. No, what you do is you sit at home with the talis. You daven geschmack it Philip psukkah karbonis psukkah zimra krishma and the so you won't sing kel adam with the people. Nish gefährlich. It's not ma'akev. You'll come there for Gol Yisrael. I do this. I'm telling you right now. I do this. There's some shows which I'd rather not even come for Gol Yisrael, because by the time I finish at the Kodesh, they're already holding by Hallow. You know what I mean? They finished Chazor Sashatz. What can I tell you? I'm not going there. But this is an Eitzah table. We have to start davening. Have a great one. I want to tell you, you all got some Torah on Shavuos. The Gemara says, I heard this once from the old Amshin of a Rebbe, Zecher Tzaddik Levracha. He passed on. He was a wise man. He says, on Shavuos, you have to realize you're not allowed to be a Shoteh. What's a Shoteh? A Shoteh is a person, the Gemara says, Ezu Shoteh, who has a din of a Shoteh that he's put for mitzvahs. Ma'abed, Mashenot Nimlo. He loses that which he's given. They gave you the Torah on Shavuos. Don't lose it. Don't be a Shoteh. Don't be a Ma'abed, Mashenot Nimlo. A big cloud, nicht sein a Shoteh. So this is a great bracha. You shouldn't be a Shoteh. Doesn't sound
Amen.
too good.
Amen.
Okay, you should be ma'abed mashanosnoloi. Have a great one. Love you all. Bye.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thanks so much.
See you. Bye.
Thank you. Mazel tov, mazel tov.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bracha
Thank you,
matzlach.
Rebbe.
Thank you.